some time at the sharpening table. We haven't been here for a little while, and I've been wanting to do another sharpening video for a while, but I just haven't been doing a lot of sharpening lately. So nice to get back here. Gonna get the stones in the soak. Tonight we're going to be working on a custom of mine. This is a blade that I just took out of heat treat just a couple nights ago, and I haven't had a chance to look at it since. I just went out in the shop this evening after working all day. I had a little bit of time, and I just cleaned up this grind down here and got it down to where it's ready to hit the whetstones. So hopefully we got our heat treat right. We'll soon find out once we hit the stones. Have a look at this knife. This is I'm calling it Necker Design 1.2, and that's if you saw my original Necker, if you saw the video, if I think about it, I'll throw a picture here somewhere. It was a slightly different shape, just a touch different handle. Notice this handle has a little bit of contouring. It's a little bit bigger, a little bit more contouring here, just to fit the lock into that hand a little bit better. Still closer to a 3-finger grip. I can squeeze 4 on there. And this is more of a saber grind than the convex I had on the original. It's a big slab of, I believe it is granite, Ray Bartlett gifted me, which I love for my sharpening. Just makes everything so solid and clean. Got my Nanowa stone holder here if you want to see that. It's just a rubber footed stone holder, very basic. I have, let's see, today I will be using my 400 grit Nanowa. Love the stone. Look at that hollow that it's getting in there. Even though I keep working it and trying to work it flat, it just gets too much work. And in the center is getting that hollow. You can probably notice the high points on each end. So I have that 400 grit, and then I'll be going from there to the 1000 on my woodstock, which is a great stone. And then we'll be moving over to 3000 grit Nanowa. Also a great stone. I love the size of these stones. You got that huge flat surface. A lot of fun holding on those. And lastly, we have, these stones are so dirty now, we have the 6000 side of that combo. And this is a beautiful, beautiful stone. I also have a 600 grit Nagura here, just for tidying up my stones. I'll put all these in soak now. And just realized I don't have my strap, so we won't get a strap today. But that's alright, we should get a good edge anyways, if that heat treat was done well. We'll see. So I've had those stones in soaking for a few minutes, and I'm going to take them out. I'm going to take out my 400 at least. Give it a little roughing with my Nagura. Now, a lot of people, every time I show these Nanowa stones, people like to comment that you shouldn't soak the Nanowa stones, they're just splash and go stones. Well, I've been using these long enough now to tell you that I do not like using these stones splash and go. They just don't work that well for me. You can just tell that it's not enough water. If you try to splash some water, especially on this 400, you try to splash some water on this 400 and sharpen, the water just draws into the stone, and you've got a dry stone, and then you're just carving away at it. The 3000 not so much, but I still like to soak it for at least a few minutes. Just if not, it just dries out too quick, and you got to be constantly splashing water. And I've had no problems. Those Nanowa stones aren't nearly as delicate as people make them out to be. I think that's little bit nonsense. They're not that delicate. I've used them for a while. I've used them in all sorts of different water temperatures, different environments, and they're just tough. Doesn't really matter. This 400 grit, one thing now, remember, this is a custom made knife. Look at that polish, that's nice. A custom made knife, it has no bevel. So here's the part where it comes in. You got to have a bit of skill, a little bit of knowledge, and think about what type of bevel do we want on here. We get to choose now. We can create whatever we want. That's one of the beauties of creating your own custom gear. It's also one of the challenges. So I'm thinking I have a high flat grind. So right now it's a pretty thin bevel. It's going to be pretty thin. I don't need much relief because it already is really shallow here. So it's going to be a great cutter. Now it's going to be a neck knife, which means lots of utility. So it's going to be doing a lot of tough work, probably utility type tasks. So I'm thinking a little bit more of a steep angle. Now, if we look here, this is the angle of that knife if I lay it flat on its bevel. Okay? I'm thinking of tipping it up about here. Not a 45, maybe 30 degrees or so. Maybe 30 degrees. We can always change it after. But I think I'll start around the 30-degree mark. Just work it for a few minutes and see what happens. See how I like it. See what it's looking like. Okay. I love the shape of this knife on the stone, I can already tell you that. That's one of the beauties about creating your own custom gear, is you can make stuff exactly like you want. I know you can get that as well with a custom maker, but there's got to be a lot of communication there for you to get that, and you're going to pay dearly for it. But by making it yourself, you can really, you know, if I'm making it and I'm feeling the handle and I remove a little more here and I feel it and still a little thick, so I take a little bit more off, and you really get to dial it in exactly like you want. So this 400 grit stone cuts pretty good, and this is a thin bevel. We don't have much steel to remove. So we're just about done on this side. I'm starting to get a burr along there. Okay, now I'm going to switch over. I'm going to switch over to my other hand. I do this a lot. I know some people stick with one hand, but I'm a fairly ambidextrous person. And if you don't know what ambidextrous means, it means you're fairly competent with both hands. I'm not fully ambidextrous. I can't write just as well with either hand. But with a lot of things like this, I can do both hands just as well, pretty well. So I do like to switch over, and that way I always get my edge towards me, which helps me see what I'm doing. Boy, that's sure looking nice to get to see now on my custom piece what I'm doing here. Okay, I just finished up with that 400, and our bevel's looking very nice. Seems like the heat treat is doing very nicely. It's pretty hard wearing on the stones. It's a spring steel. It's a carbon steel, so it's not super abrasion resistant, but it is a pretty tough steel. It's definitely not too brittle. Even when I'm working it really hard on the stone, I'm not getting any rolling. I'm not getting any crumbling or chipping, which is a couple things you want to look for. If you're getting chipping, especially when you have I have a real thin bevel here, so it could kind of be prone to chipping or rolling. So I should really be able to tell that on the stones. Just keep that same angle. Close to the same angle. It's not that important. As close as we can get it. And I'm just going to work it on that 1000 grit stone. This is a lovely feeling stone. It feels super nice. You feel it cutting. It's got a nice bite to it. This bevel turned out exactly like I want it. For me in a knife, I want some straight edge, perfect straight, no recurve, definitely not. I want some straight edge, and that's this portion here, which is plenty, and then I want a nice long belly. Nice long belly to my blade, and that makes it nice for feather sticking or nice for food prep. It makes it nice for working on animals. It's just a great, for me, I think it's a great setup. It's kind of what I've always aspired to. It's what I've always liked. It's what I really like. It's one of the good things, and also what I don't like about my Bark River Aurora. Bark River Aurora's got that real long straight edge, which is great, and the Aurora has a nice long curve there, but the Aurora doesn't have quite as much belly as I like, so it's just one of the drawbacks. I was about to say you can't have it all, but that's not true. You can have it all if you make it yourself, or if you spend a lot of time searching for just the right thing. When it comes out of the quench, I always do a file test, see if it skates the file. If it doesn't, I heat it up and re-quench. And then when I temper it, I draw some of that brittleness out, and then we recheck hardness. And then once you're working it like this, you really get to see what the edge is like. So now I'm working on honing. We've got the sharpening done. We've got our bevel created. And you see this 3000 grit now has been soaking for several minutes, probably 15 minutes. And it's still quite dry. It doesn't soak in much water. So I do like to soak it for a bit. I'll just keep feeling that edge. And what I'm looking for, sometimes people critique me from running my fingers along the edge. Guys, once you get enough experience, you'll understand it really isn't a danger to run your fingers along the edge this way if you know what you're doing. I'm doing the most delicate of touch. My fingers are just, you can see them there, just kind of dancing along the edge to get a feel for how thin and how fine that apex is. I do the same technique with my straight razors, and you can't imagine, unless you've ever held a straight razor, I can't explain to you how thin that bevel is, and it's fine. You just got to know what you're doing. So don't come on my video or on my channel and critique me for how I feel the edge. You're going to cut yourself. You're an idiot. You're stupid. You should never touch a blade that way. Now try to get some of that residue off my hands so I can feel that edge. Starting to get a beautiful feeling there. Try to give you a look at that bevel. You see it's a fairly small bevel. That's because this knife is so thin. I could do a little short stout grind there. Let me know what you think. Hit that like button. Guess I could do a little shave test for you. Let's see, where are we here? Right, and that is without my lovely straps. You can probably hear my little daughter. Just me and her here tonight. Mama's out working on some stuff. So guys, I hope you like this sharpening video. I think the recipient of this knife will be very happy with it. Hit the like button, leave me a comment, let me know what you think. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. We'll see you in the next one.